Hello everyone, thank you and welcome back again. Thank you for tuning in. This is our lecture 5 of pharmacy laws and regulation as a course unit, and we are going to look at something new today apart from what we have already looked at, and that is we are going to look at National Policy and Authority Act of 1993 that commenced on 3rd December 1993, and it establishes the National Drug Policy and then the National Drug Authority. Okay, so to ensure the availability, why they are or what they are doing is to ensure the availability at all times of essential, efficacious, cost-effective drugs to the entire population of Uganda as a means of providing satisfactory health care and then safeguarding the appropriate use of drugs. So we have different classes of drugs. We have, like I was saying in previous lectures, we have different classes of drugs. So we are going to look at what are the classes of drugs that we have, and then what are the examples of drugs that we find in those different classes. So we see that drug is any substance or preparation used or intended to be used for internal or external application to the human or animal animal body, either in the treatment or prevention of disease, or for improving psychological functions, or for agricultural or industrial purposes. And then we have those classes as classified drugs. So the classified drugs, we have those that are in class A, class B, and class C. And then we have what we call restricted drugs. So this means that these are classified drugs or any other drug which is not an exempted drug. Okay, those are restricted drugs. And then exempted drug means a drug in the 4th schedule of the National Drug Policy and Authority Statute of 1993, and it is not a classified drug. So we need to know what is a restricted drug, what is an exempted drug. A restricted drug means a classified drug or any other drug which is not an exempted drug. And then exempted drug is the one that belongs to the 4th schedule of the National Drug Policy and Authority Statute of 1993, and it is not a classified drug. I remember classified drugs are those that are class A, class B, and class C, guys. So we have schedules of the National Drug Policy and Authority Act of 1993, National Drug Policy and Authority Act of 1993. We see that it has schedules, the different schedules of drug. We have the first schedule, which is class A drug, and those class A drugs are majorly narcotics. We have the second schedule, which is class B drug, which are controlled drugs. Sorry guys, sorry. And then third schedule is class C drug, which is a licensed drug. And then the 4th schedule that we said that are exempted drugs and articles. A 5th schedule, these are diseases as to which publication of descriptive matter is restricted or prohibited. That is the 5th schedule. The 6th schedule is preparations that may be manufactured by or under supervision of a duly qualified medical practitioner. The 7th schedule is a requirement as to the storage of classified drugs. The 8th schedule is consignment and transportation of classified drugs. These are the different schedules that we have in National Drug Policy and Authority Act of 1993. So we are starting schedule at a time, one schedule at a time. So the first schedule, which we say those are the class A drugs or narcotics. These drugs, or the drugs included in this class, may only be imported or exported, manufactured, or used under authority like it has to be supervised, its use has to be supervised, it is importation has to be supervised and taken keen note of, it is importation has to be taken or managed. So they may be sold by retail only on prescription of a duly qualified medical practitioner, dentist, or veterinary surgeon, but only for medical, dental, or veterinary purposes, and may be supplied only by a registered pharmacist or a licensed pharmacy. This may include cocaine, codeine, heroin, opium, pethidine, morphine, and so many others. Okay, so we have to look at the second class or second schedule. So second schedule, we said these are the class B drugs, or another word, we have them called control drugs. These are of two groups. We have group 1 and then group 2. So group 1, also called prescription only medicines, these drugs may be supplied by the retail only on prescription of a duly qualified medical practitioner, dentist, or veterinary surgeon, but only for medical, dental, and animal treatment respectively. So we see that the veterinary surgeon will be for animal treatment, and then for dentist for dental practitioner, and then for dental issues, please, and then medical practitioner for medical issues. They include the majority of antibiotics, antineoplastics agents, and then barbiturates, and then CNS drugs, antihypertensive drugs, steroids, anti-diabetic drugs, and so many others, because you can be asked to give the classes of drugs with their examples. We have class A and we have seen examples of class A. Class B, we have seen examples of class B. However, with our class B or this second schedule, they are divided into class A, group 1 and group 2. So group 2 are called pharmacy only medicines or simply pharmacy medicines. These drugs are preparations containing such drugs. Such drugs may be supplied by the retail only by a registered pharmacist or a licensed pharmacy. They include preparations containing organic, inorganic substances for administration under special circumstances or for both human and agricultural uses. So we have the third class. The third class, we say the list of class C or licensed drugs. These may be sold by retail only by a person or a company operating a licensed pharmacy or a licensed drug seller. But in the case of the latter, only in accordance with the terms of his or her license, the drugs listed do not include their injectable formulations. Okay, for example, two groups, group 1 and group 2, where we have laboratory chemicals for pharmaceutical raw materials, and then we can also have others apart from injections. Maybe we can have paracetamol, we can have diclofenac, not injection, but they are tablet form. So we have what you call the fourth schedule of the National Drug Policy and Authority Act. So this lists exempted drugs. And examples that we have here, we have this dentifrice, and then we have dressings on seeds or bulbs, electrical bulbs, and then we have our fluorescence lamps and the rest. These are the exempted drugs. Okay, they are for schedule 4 or fourth schedule. The fifth schedule lists diseases as to which publications of descriptive matter is restricted or prohibited. So descriptive matter is any statement whether written or oral, which purposes to describe, or which its purpose is to describe the composition or effects of any medicine. So if there are any effects of any drug on any disease, this fifth schedule talks about it. So these diseases may include gonorrhea, syphilis, cancer, and then goiter and other different diseases. Schedule 6, we say that it is a preparation that may be manufactured by or under the supervision of a duly qualified medical practitioner, and then they include preparations containing extracts of pituitary, thyroid, liver, pancreas. So those different organs of the body, those are the different preparations. So they have to be supervised, how it is extracted, how it is manufactured, are they following the right procedure. And then we have what we call the 7 schedule. The 7 schedule, we are looking at storage of classified drugs. How do we store the classified drugs? All class B and class C drugs are preparations except when is used should be kept under the secure lock and key in a separate room or a compatible special reserved for keeping these drugs and partitioned off from the rest of the premises. The drugs should be kept in a place accessible only to the person in charge of the drugs or to some persons under his or her immediate supervision. So class A drugs and preparations should be stored in immovable or lockable places, that is under lock and key. And then class B and class C drugs should be kept apart in a part to which the general public does not normally have access. That's why when you look at the pharmacy store, there is separation between clients, your patients, and where the staff are, and where the products are stored are also not accessible, even not to everyone in the staff or in the departments of the store or other departments of the hospital. Not all everyone can access the store, only the ones in charge. And then supervision has to be taken place in case someone has to be allowed in that specific area, okay, because anything can happen in case there is no close supervision and monitoring of what the person is doing where and what they are doing there. We have the 8th schedule. The 8th schedule of our National Drug Policy and Authority Act. We see that it describes consignment and transportation of classified drugs. How are these drugs transported? How are they delivered? What needs to be put into consideration after delivery? What should be done after they have been delivered? How should they be transported? Which type of material have to be used for packaging it so that it reaches to the final consumer in a good state? Outside package of classified drugs should be labeled conspicuously with the name or a description of the drug and notice indicating that it is to be kept or separate from food and from empty food containers. Or you can also, the label should also be directing away from light, away from heat, away from any other thing depending on the nature of the drug that you are having. So National Drug Policy, it was first published in 1993 and then it was last edited or updated in 2015. So overall goal of the 2015 publication is to contribute to the attainment of the highest standard of health for the population of Uganda by ensuring the availability, accessibility, affordability, and appropriate use of essential medicines of appropriate quality, and then safety and efficacy at all times. Okay. And then we have objectives. What are the objectives of these National Drug Policy and then National Drug Authority? Remember, they are working hand in hand. So to optimize use of scarce resources in implication of National Drug Policy, and then to ensure availability of sufficient suitably trained pharmaceutical and other relevant staff to enable effective implementation of the National Drug Policy and make essential drugs accessible to all those who need them, and also to ensure that all drugs available to the public are of appropriate quality, safety, and efficacy, to also actively and continuously promote rational use of drugs and provide objectives, relevant, and practical information to health workers, patients, and the rest. So what are the major components of this National Drug Policy Act? We see that the major components, we have the pharmaceutical legislation and regulation, it is inside it. And then we have drug selection. We have what we call drug supply. It is in charge of drug selection. It is responsible for drug supply. How are medicines reaching the final consumer? Where can they purchase them? How can they select? How do different facilities select? And then the rational drug use and information. Then we have drug financing and pricing. Also, it is in charge about that. And then we have what we call traditional medicine. It is in charge about it. And then the human resource development. Human resource, the skilled labor, like improving the staff, working on capacity building of the staff, like trainings, the different trainings of our staff on a new technique of selection of medicine, of supply of medicine, of rationale of drug use, and then other information that they would feel to give to the medical practitioners. And then we have technical cooperation, and then we have monitoring, and then evaluation. Okay, so that takes us to National Drug Authority, since we have already known about what role a national drug policy does. We have seen selection and other things, technology, technical skills, and the rest, development, human resource. So we see that a National Drug Authority was established by National Drug Authority and Policy Act of 1993. It is mandated by the law to regulate products. That is to say, medicines, drugs. Our products we are dealing with are the medicine and drugs, isn't it? And then manufacturing facilities and distribution outlets. It also manages the importers and the wholesalers and retailers of these different drugs or medicines. However, it is not mandated to regulate practitioners. The practitioners are regulated by Allied Health Professionals Act for pharmacy assistants and pharmacy technicians. And then pharmacists are regulated by Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda. The functions of the Drug Authority deals with the development and regulation of pharmacies and drugs in the country, approves the national list of essential drugs, and supervise the revisions of the lists in the manner provided by the minister, estimates drug needs to ensure that needs are met as economically as possible, and then controls importation, exportation, and sell pharmaceuticals. That's what they do. And then we continue. They promote and control local production of essential drugs. They also encourage research and development of herbal medicines. They promote rational use of drugs through approximate professional trainings. They can also establish and revise professional guidelines and disseminating information to health professionals and the public. They provide advice and guidelines to the minister and the bodies concerned with the drugs on implementation of the national drug policy, performs any other function that is connected with the above or that may be accorded to it by the law. Okay, so we have very many departments or regulatory departments of National Drug Authority. So National Drug Authority is a big thing that has other small sections. Those small sections, we have the Drug Assessment and Registration Department, we have the National Drug Quality Control Laboratory, we have what we call the Drug Information Department, and then we have the Inspectorate and Enforcement Department. Those that are always inspecting are under the Inspectorate and Enforcement Department. That's why they always come to the different drug outlets. So we are going to look at each department at a time and see what is their role and what they do. So we see that Drug Assessment and Registration Department, it assesses and then prioritizes to issues marketing authorities in Uganda. So all marketing authorities, it has to assess how are they marketing? Are they using the right way of promoting their drugs? Remember, in the last lecture, we looked at how we can do promotion. Is the promotion effective? Does it make the use of a drug safe? Does it make the use of a drug efficient or efficacious, and the rest. And then we see that the stability of data compliance with good manufacturing practices of pharmaceuticals registered by the National Drug Authority Human Medicines, including biological and vaccines for veterinary, pharmaceutical, veterinary biological, and vaccines, herbal medicines. So we see that the stability of data, they are going to look at what is the compliance of people, or those that they have given rules or guidelines on good manufacturing procedures of how they can prepare human medicine. Are they following it right? If they are not following it right, why are they not following it right? Do they need training? Is there something they need? Is there something that needs to be followed? Is there something lacking? Is it the skill? Is it the training that is not sufficient? So you find the National Drug Authority is in charge of that. So when you look at the sector of National Drug Quality Control Laboratory, that one conducts so many qualitative and quantitative tests. Remember in the last slide or the last lecture, we have just looked at what are what are the things that we need to carry out to avoid counterfeits. We have to, or how do we prevent counterfeits of medicines? If you didn't have a chance to attend the counterfeit lecture, you can actually attend the counterfeit lecture in the previous lecture in this same channel, and you can be able to connect with all of us. So it conducts qualitative and quantitative tests. So you find that for you to prevent counterfeits, you have to always carry out quality control tests. And quality control tests include sampling, and you check for bioavailability of the product, check for the clarity of the product, check for so many things of the product. To ascertain the quality of drug, mandatory testing on anti-TB drugs, and then anti-malaria drugs, and ARVs, and then on condoms. So we also have what we call Drug Information Department. So what does Drug Information Department do? Drug Information Department works on pharmacovigilance regulation of pharmaceutical promotional materials of the public relations. So pharmacovigilance is like I can say detecting, monitoring, reporting of adverse drug reactions that people are getting from the field on a specific product. Okay, so if the adverse drug reactions are weighed and they see that these adverse drug reactions are going to affect their life and they are life threatening, it can lead to recall of the product. We also have what we call monitoring drug related aspects of clinical trials, and then we have what we call sensitization on drug regulation in the district, and then sensitization on herbalists drug, and then substance abuse. So what does the Inspectorate and Enforcement Department do? The Inspectorate and Enforcement Department inspects manufacturing facilities. It also inspects drug outlets, that is the importers. It inspects the wholesale pharmacies. It inspects the retail pharmacies. It inspects the drug shops, and then it also inspects the hospitals. So before we start on Allied Health Professionals Act, I would like us to have a break, and then we start with it fresh and see what it talks about and what things are there. So thank you so much for listening to this session.